In this video, I'm going to show you how to link a work order template to a user-defined meter. I've already created a work order template in an earlier video, so before watching this, you may want to look at the video that shows how to create the work order template. To begin with, I'm going to go to the meters screen, and when the screen opens, I'll notice that I have three screen tabs: configure meter definitions, apply work order meters, and then meter readings. Configure meter definitions gives you the ability to create any meter, and a meter is going to be a unit of something. You can create the units. It will use a value, and that's primarily what it looks at. So let's go ahead and create one for every, we'll call it every 10 cuts. And we'll give it a value of 10 and a unit of, and I see we have cuts in there. Now if we didn't have the unit we wanted, we can always go to the options menu and add more units. So I'll save that. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to link this meter name called 10 cuts to a work order template. And in this case, I'm going to link it to this dough mixer. Actually, I think I'll link it to the saw. That makes a little more sense for cuts. Okay, I'll click the apply button, and that simply links the 10 cuts to this particular work order template. Next, we'll go to meter readings, and think of meter readings as possibly, and a lot of equipment has an hour meter on it. In this case, we're going to be reading cuts, so it's actually going to be something that's coming from the equipment. Now in this case, we'll just assume that we have some ladder logic written in a PLC program that's running the saw, that's keeping track of the cuts and either displaying it somewhere or providing that data to MateSmart in some manner. Alright, so I've linked these together, and I did that in the previous tab, and now when I pick the saw, it's showing me what meters are available. Now you can have up to 6 meters on each equipment. Alright, I have a last performed and a current reading. I'm going to say it has a current reading of, we'll just say 3 for example. I'll click apply, and now I have my meter reading. Now what I could have done in the beginning was set my maximum reading. This would be a rollover value. So usually meters of whatever type, they do roll over at some point. I'll notice now when I select it, it's disabled. Well, if I want to turn it back on, I can check this menu item, and that gives me the opportunity to edit this. We'll say it rolls over at 10,000. Okay, so there is our meter reading. And the next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and turn on the meter scanner. And this was covered in an earlier video as well. So I won't spend a lot of time here. But I'm going to go ahead and check all these check boxes. And this is telling MateSmart, look for expired meters every 1 minute. And there are a few other properties here that have to do with OPC, and that is data protocol between equipment and your PC that MateSmart's running on, which we'll cover in a moment. Okay, so I went ahead and checked all those. Okay, so MateSmart is going to look at this and say, is the difference between the last performed and the current reading 10 or more? If it is, generate a new work order. Every 1 minute it's going to do that. Well, it's not. It's only 3. So let's go ahead and change that. Let's say, well, it's gone up to 11. Okay, and we'll notice the in progress checkbox is not checked. What will happen is when MateSmart does create a work order, and I see it is trying to do that right now, and we notice this became checked. This one was set to auto print. I'm going to go ahead and cancel that. It could have also emailed it automatically. Dismiss that screen. What we have now is MateSmart has created a new work order for us from this template based upon our meter readings. It's showing that we do have a work order in progress on this particular work order template. This prevents the program from creating duplicate work orders. And we can go to our work order screen and we'll find our, probably that one, and it is. And that is our automatic work order. Okay, so closing out this work order, I'm going to go ahead and close it. I'm going to set a meter option to update the last performed equals the current reading. And there are some other options here that you can choose from. Essentially what's going to happen here is when we close out the work order, MateSmart's going to sense that this work order was created from an expired meter. And what this setting does here is it determines how MateSmart resets the meter for the next time. Okay, so what it's going to do in this case, it's going to set the last performed to the current reading. Basically saying when the meter triggered the work order, we went out, we did the work right away, and that kind of saves us the trouble of entering anything into this screen when we close the work order. There is, however, a prompt menu that you could choose if you want to enter the exact values. Okay, so let's just say this is done. And if we want to edit anything else here, we could. And I'm just going to say that's it. So we'll click Save. And we didn't really see anything occur here. But if we go back to our meter screen, and I'll go ahead and refresh this, we'll see that it's no longer in progress because MateSmart reset the meter for us. And you'll also notice that it set the current date to the last performed as expected. Okay, so the next time this current reading gets to, well, 21 would be 10 above 11, it will trigger another work order. So this will continue to work until you tell it to stop. Now, how would you stop this if you wanted to? Perhaps you want to delay it for a while. Maybe you're in a season where you're not really going to be doing work on this equipment because it's not running. What you can do is you can select that meter and manually check an uncompleted work orders associated with this. Basically, this just tricks the program into thinking that there's already a work order open on this, so it won't trigger another one. That's a way you can defeat this. Okay, now I'm going to go into a little bit more advanced way of obtaining your readings. I'm going to go to Options, Manage OPC Links, and what we're going to do here is we're going to obtain our readings from a PLC. Now this may require some ladder logic, and if you're not familiar with that, then by all means just enter your meters manually as I had just done. So I'm going to click the New button. I'm going to pick an OPC server, and I have this OPC simulator. I'll say OK. Now I'm going to add an OPC item. Now these would be topics or possibly memory addresses in any OPC compliant data source. Could be PLCs, Wonderware, RS Links, various ones out there. I'm going to go ahead and just choose a random. I'll try this int1. Say OK. Okay, so it's linked to this memory address. Think of this as a memory address that's counting the cuts in this saw. Every time it cuts, it increments this by 1. I'm just going to call it, I'll give it a user-friendly name called saw cut. I'll save that. And now I'm going to go ahead and link that memory address to the equipment. And I'll save it. And as we can see, our current reading is 11, which is what we had here on this screen. I'm going to click Update Readings, and it's still 11. Okay, at some point it's going to change. Well, there, it just changed. It went to 25. Okay, I'm going to go ahead and exit this screen. MaintSmart, every 1 minute, is going to look at this OPC data source, pull the reading, and then determine whether or not a work order needs to be created from this template. Okay, so at this point, MaintSmart has determined that one has been created, or needed to be created rather. We noticed that our current reading went up to 114, and we did generate a work order automatically once again, and it's being sent to a printer, or it could have been emailed. So as you can see, this is a tremendously powerful feature found only in MaintSmart. By using this powerful yet fairly simple function in the program, you can have your equipment now telling you when it needs maintenance.